A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Survival of No Limits. And get ready, because let's just say that a lot of things are considered, and I don't really know how else to put this together. But it does seem like that we're getting a bunch of new topics, so I feel like I'm going to be covered for at least a few more months. Yeah, I almost feel like I'm getting way too close to the end of the season, but I'd have to check back on my episode log and see exactly what the quantity is that I'm going for. Until that happens though, let's just say that we still got quite a ways to go. So here we go. I'm pulling this up right here. Number 110. Yeah, 110. Known as street racing. Yeah. That's what we're going to be talking about today. You're probably wondering that same old question that I seem to be getting ever so often here. What does this have to do with survival? Well, the fact is that street racing actually has a little bit more than you might possibly think to do with survival. If you're not really a fan of the Fast and Furious films simply because of the way that it depicts cars racing down streets illegally, then well, it's possibly for a good reason. The reason why some people might not find street racing in real life to be as exciting or as action-packed or as adventurous as what's depicted in the Fast and Furious films. And seeing how we actually do have a more recent Fast and Furious sequel known as the Fast Saga, man, the timing is perfect, the way I see it. The fact that it was just released some time ago, it really does show that we are getting a bunch of new films from the Fast and Furious series, and the fact is that the characters themselves have had tons of mileage, kind of like with the characters from the Ghostbusters series, or the characters with the Godzilla franchise, or even the characters with Transformers. So, it just goes to show that certain franchises can in fact be seen as popular enough to the point that they can be remade or simply developed in every conceivable angle and every conceivable way. But anyways, the fact is that street racing, in terms of the real-life anomaly itself, has a lot of risks put into it. And it's no surprise. Lots of street racers out there usually have these extremely satisfying, modified cars, unbelievably aggressive-sounding mufflers, and amazingly well-designed underglow headlights, combined with low-riding suspension, unbelievable aerodynamic construction, including splitters and ground effects, and even a long spoiler in the back, plus a lot of other things out there. And it's not just with Fast and the Furious, it's also within Need for Speed, where it showcases street racing at its finest. Of course, I'm a big fan of that as well, especially with Payback, by far the best. Of course, street racing, other than the kinds of cars that are usually found within street racing related competitions between different people, street racing, of course, can be found anywhere, and they can be found with a lot of people wanting to compete as a part of them. Whether as some sort of bet that they've made with their friends, or as something that they decide to do against these sorts of street gangs and other such groups that do roam the urban lifestyle that is, of course, most of America today. Street racing, of course, does have a lot of things put into it. And in terms of how survival has to do with it, well, the first thing, of course, is the car itself. Whether you're driving something that is all original or something that has been heavily modded and tuned, there are a lot of things to consider. Working in a mechanic's garage has a lot of its own risks entirely, which I'll probably cover in a separate topic in another episode of Survival of No Limits. But anyways, once the whole procedure is complete, you might think that it's all over and done with and amazing, but the results aren't always met with glowing reviews and satisfaction beyond belief. They can in fact turn out to be quite deadly. Anything from a faulty tire to weird suspension to some too aggressive sounding mufflers that can be enough to emit smoke, which of course contains powerful amounts of carbon monoxide able to suffocate people of any sorts, to a plethora of other issues. Street racing, of course, has a medley of other things out there. endangering other people's lives, especially pedestrians like the young and the old, and then of course the risk of possibly running over an animal, turning him into roadkill, and then of course losing the race. There are some occasions where people have actually been found dead or barely alive because of them getting beaten up by the street racers and thugs themselves for possibly losing the race or possibly doing other things out there to potentially set them off entirely. And it's no surprise. Seeing a lot of things that have happened, with all the things that we've had documented throughout history, I see zero surprises here. And the fact is that it's still of relevance to this very day. Street racing still does have so many issues around here that I myself could spend hours of my whole life talking about how it pretty much is, but it would be a little too easy. And the fact is that all this time that we've spent with all these things that have been happening, all these events that have been unfolding, all of these disasters that have been documented, and then of course, well, if I could just go right onto my phone and pretty much showcase, well, a pretty good plethora of evidence right here to show why this is in fact the worst year we've ever had in history. I mean, I could not even make this stuff up if I tried. But the real truth around here that I might as well disclose today is that Survival of No Limits still has quite a while to go through. I may be well past the halfway point here with Season 1 of this series, but as you might already know, well, Honest J No Wax Season 2, Gaming with Kaiju Force Neo Megapix Weekly, as well as a variety of other series that are still ongoing on the channel, they still have quite a ways to go too, so they are not at all off the hook for right now. The rest of the entire year should hopefully reflect on how much work I do put into, as well as how much effort goes into the conception of most of these new franchises that I will be starting pretty soon. Until then, though, if you want to see more goes out of my channel, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.